So I have a little story for you, and of course it starts in the garden. The amount of work that has gone into especially the greenhouse this year is staggering. The materials, the time, the energy, the planning, just everything that's gone into it has been incredible. The garden is the heart and the soul of this farm, and it often reflects my own life and my own heart. The good, the messy, the ugly. My blood, sweat, and tears have gone into this place. The same can be said over my life, my past marriage. Years of planning, time, classes, learning, effort, as it should be. Many years spent on maintenance, additions, and production. With the garden, the trouble started when a vole decided to camp out one winter right in the center of the garden. And I remember going out in the spring and looking and realizing, oh, this is a big mess. It had eaten quite a few perennials and left a huge dirt hole. But I repaired it and carried on. And then I realized that that was just the beginning of our troubles. We had grass that creeped in through the vole tunnel, and I didn't know to protect the edges of the Back to Eden garden. So the grasses came in from there. And then I brooded a batch of chicks inside the garden, and I used them to take the grasses out from between my fruit trees. And that worked wonderfully until we moved them in with the big chickens, and then they spent their entire time trying to get back into the garden. And many succeeded. And what happened was they kept destroying all the layers of mulch and all the time and the effort, my gravel paths. And that really was what did me in. They destroyed the layers which protected against the weeds, and they really went after the foundation of the Back to Eden garden. Similarly, in my marriage, things took place. Things crept in and they grew in the darkness. It's been helpful to reflect on these things, but I'm careful not to dwell too long. Take the lessons, remember the good, and go on. I have consulted with dear friends on how to move forward with this garden, and it's time to let go. My ways are higher than your ways. My thoughts are higher than your thoughts. I have so much more for you. Do you have something in your life that God is calling you to let go of? Something perhaps you've put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into. Perhaps it's not walking away from a marriage. Perhaps it's not starting over in a garden. Perhaps it's something else. It's something different. I know firsthand how difficult it is when you have poured everything that you have into something, and you keep working and you keep working and you keep working, and it's not getting better, it's actually getting worse. And today I want to tell you that sometimes, even though it is so hard to let go of something that you think is so good, there's something better. Now, this isn't a lesson in the grass is greener on the other side, because you could take it that way, but that's not what I'm talking about here today. I'm talking about when you know that it's time to make a big change in your life. I would love to hear from you in the comments. If you have something along these lines that you would like prayer for, or you would like something major that you're changing or shifting in your life, leave it down there. I love to hear from you guys. When I first heard those words, that it's time to let go, I felt physically ill. I thought things would be different. I thought things were going to change. I thought my garden was going to be better. Like I could keep pulling the grasses and eventually I would win. And unfortunately, that just wasn't truth. God is so good though. He reassured me. He brought confirmation. And he brought other people with similar circumstances, both in my life and in my garden. And I was able to talk to them, and they all said, it's going to be okay. It's going to be more than okay. You're going to look back and you're going to be so happy that you were brave and you did it. One step at a time, he led me to where I am today. It's time to let go again. This garden will continue in its path of chaos if I do nothing. Even if I continue doing what I've been doing, it will still degrade into chaos unless the gardener steps in and makes a big change. I could toil away day after day, year after year, pulling the grass and fighting the same battles. But unless I set the foundation right again, I will not succeed in the change. The original plan, my plan, was good. There was nothing wrong with it. And there's probably nothing wrong with your original plan. God told me a while ago, he said, your plan was good. There was nothing wrong with your plan. But my plan is so much better. It's so much bigger than anything you could ever imagine. Do you trust me? Will you jump with me? So it's time to let go of the hard work, the original plan, the original design. And it's time to embrace something new. Yes, it is really hard. It's brave, and the reward will be great. Though I currently cannot see this space as something new, I don't have the new vision yet. And often I find that this is how God works. You have to jump before he gives you the rest of the plan. And even then, he usually just gives it one step at a time. You have to step out in faith. You have to do the hard thing. Trust his plan. And once you make that courageous move, more plans come. Let go of that old thing. Let go of that old plan. Let go of what you had envisioned. Let God bring in something new. Let him bring about his perfect plan in your life. Whether that is letting go of a garden that you've worked on so hard, whether that is letting go of just something different. It doesn't matter what it is that you have to let go of. He will meet you in that if he's telling you to let go. I'm starting in the greenhouse because it's an easy place to start. Things were pretty obviously a mess and they just needed to be handled and dealt with. And so I decided today that that's where I would start, that I would go ahead and let go and make my way into the big garden. Now, the plan and the dream for the big garden, where I originally started all of the gardens, was beautiful, and the space was beautiful for a long time. It served its purpose very well over the years until the big problems came in. And really, at this point, we're not even enjoying the herbs that are growing in there. We're not enjoying any of the beautiful flowers that are growing in there because we can't even get into the garden. And so I can continue allowing it to go back to wild chaos, or I can take it back and take back that space that really is a very valuable space. It's fenced, it's right outside one of the doors, and it really just needs to be completely redone. Now, I have spoken with several Back to Eden Garden friends, and the consensus is brutal. where I either need to dig out all the perennials and the annuals that I want to save seed from, and then cover the whole thing and smother it. Which, when I heard that news, I cried. And the reason is because I know what that means. I know it means completely starting over. It's very similar of what took place in my life. Like, you have to start over, and I fought against that for a long time. I didn't want to start over. I didn't want a different life. I was afraid, and it's kind of like I've been in that place with the garden where I don't want to start over. I don't want to re-envision, although that's one of my favorite parts of the garden, is envisioning it and dreaming it and drawing it up on paper and choosing different things to go in there. But I know the amount of work that it's going to take to put into that, and it's daunting. I decided, okay, I'm going to start with something easier, which was the greenhouse, and get that back in order. And every single week I am going to work very hard on taking back that garden, and it is going to look very different by the time it's done. Like I said, I do not have a plan for it at this time. I plan to take you all through it. I have heard so many different people with the same problems with that creeping grass that comes through in the voles. So I have been testing out and trialing some different methods in another part of the garden, which I will definitely show you. Not in this video necessarily, but I'll show you that in future videos on this subject. But I want to teach you how to take back an overrun Back to Eden garden, and what does that look like, and how do we prevent this problem from happening? Because if you patch it up, the problem's going to come back. If you don't fix the foundation, the problem will come back. And I don't know about you guys, I'm really not into that. I'm not into patchwork. I'm not into wasting my time. I want the results to be good, and I want them to be lasting.
Well, here's the greenhouse. It's a lot different than when we started. Nice mid-season turnover. Hopefully these perennials in the pots on the edges here are going to survive. We'll see. But we have cucumbers and peppers and basil, an eggplant, a horseradish, more peppers there that lived, and some different herbs there that I'm going to try. We have this beautiful grape growing up here. I have no idea what variety it is. A friend and I traded elderberries for a grape. We have more peppers in here, which I found, and a little cucumber. All the kale that's been just crazy. Lots of peppers in the back. Here's some more perennials. I'm gonna try to save that celery that's in the tray there. A whole bunch of Nanking cherry and Haskell's. We're gonna try to save these. We'll see. I don't know. They got a little toasty. And then a whole bunch of peppers, which you can see them coming on. We'll just sugar rush peach. These are the lemon drop. And then we've got cucumbers, trellised on both sides, which are just going absolute crazy. And then I think I saw a poblano actually growing way back there in the back.